Hi, my name is Lara, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel, Inner Goddess Guidance. Now, if you're here, you might identify yourself as a divine feminine on the twin flame path. Even if you do not, however, this channel can serve you as you help you really focus on your journey towards self-mastery. In a bigger sense, that's what life is about. It's all a journey. And we can either make that journey with intention toward our highest and best good and actually achieving a life of joy and abundance and happiness, or we can sort of allow ourselves to be butted about by whatever is happening in our lives, reacting rather than responding, reacting in ways that may not be in service of our highest and greatest good. So I created this channel because as a divine feminine who only in October recognized in a clear way what I was doing, I know that it can be confusing. And what I discovered is that as I assumed responsibility for my journey in earnest, I was able to heal some things inside of myself and really make some profound movement forward. And some of the tools that I used, I have gained through my experience as a teacher, through my experience as a personal coach and a Reiki master, and just as a scholar in general. So I created this channel to help you navigate the journey. I do want to say what I'm not. I'm not an expert. I am just somebody who has certain tools that I think will be helpful for you. And in doing this first video with you, I want to talk about some of the components that I'll be presenting daily. And my overall goal is that really you feel better on this journey, that you spend more time feeling in control, or at least able to regain your balance when you meet with challenges and struggles. And it doesn't even matter if that's with your divine masculine or with other people in your life or with other aspects of your life, like your career or your health. It's all a part of the same journey. And the key is for you to get clear on where your light is inside of you, because we're all different. And so the journey looks different for all of us. You know, when I was first aware of my journey, and I was confused because strange things were happening, you know, the signs and synchronicities, the dreams, the hearing voices, and I needed answers. And so I came to YouTube trying to figure out what it was all about. Not just YouTube, reading books, reading articles, reading all kinds of things. And one of the things that I knew was that I was in discomfort and I was seeking comfort. There are a lot of ways that we as human beings try to comfort ourselves. We try to comfort ourselves through sometimes not such good ways, through alcohol, through drugs, through sex, through escaping, and even too many YouTube videos, right? Or sleeping, or disengaging, or all kinds of things. And it was my intention very clearly to figure out what the journey was about and to find my balance again. I want to share the tools that I used to help me get to a place where I really feel now that no matter what happens to me on this journey, I'm still solid. It doesn't mean that I don't go through difficult times, but I feel like I come back to center very quickly. And that is because the tools that I've used enable me to stay self-aware and mindful on the journey, as I stay focused as well on the intention of the greater mission, which is love. Okay, so what are some of the tools? Every day, I will start this channel with an invocation to create a really safe space here. A safe space to draw in wisdom and guidance. And one of the tools that I will use are goddess guidance cards. Well, it's called the Goddess Oracle. And it's by Sophia Marashinsky, and it's illustrated by Rana Janto. And we will focus on the goddess energy that we're working with that day. I will also pull a healing card so that we can focus on what healing we can be mindful of that day. And today I will be using the Carolyn Myss Wisdom for Healing cards. Every day I will talk about a subject related to the journey, and it would be my hope that there are some gems within what I say that speak to you that you can take away with you for that day. And I will suggest a way that we write an affirmation as well for the day. And the affirmation is a way to keep us focused and be aware of our thoughts and our thinking throughout the day. I will also suggest that you keep a journal. And the journal that is really it's sort of a travel guide, really, your travel journal. That you write down the goddess message of the day, the goddess energy, write down the healing focus of the day, write down the affirmation of the day. And that at the end of the day, you come back to your journal and reflect on your day. Why would you keep a journal like that? For a couple of reasons. One, it enables you to really take time and focus on yourself and your journey. I want to say a few things about words and thoughts. I hear people talk all the time about vibrations, right? Our positive thoughts create positive vibrations, negative thoughts, negative vibrations. And that's true in an energetic sense. But if you want to make it just in a very basic human sense, when I think good things, I feel good. And when I'm thinking bad things, I feel bad. And I want to feel good more often than bad. And a lot of times we think we can't control our thoughts, right? We're at the mercy of them. Stuff happens and they just are automatic. But as you use a strategy like journaling, you become more mindful of your thoughts. There are some sort of parameters that I suggest around your journal. I suggest that in your journal and in the comments as well on this page, that you be impeccable with your word. And what I mean by that is that your intention in writing your words is not to harm or hurt or to project anything negative outward. You don't use the journal to be a victim or to talk negatively about a karmic partner or about your divine counterpart. I know people don't like that word, but I don't know. Your divine partner, whoever that is. You don't use this as a place for any of that. This is your healing journal. And so if you're working through some dark thoughts, you're working through them with the intention to heal them, to get at the bottom of them. Where did they come from? Where did you first have that thought? So for example, if I become aware during my day that I'm having a feeling or a thought that I'm unworthy, for example, or another example is that I'm lacking self-confidence. I can't do this. That's one personally for me that happens. Even in preparing and planning this channel, I had a lot of those kinds of negative thoughts come in. And it's not enough to just say, oh, negative thought, go away. Because if it was that easy, right, we wouldn't have them. By taking time to say, I am aware that I am struggling with my self-esteem. Where does that come from? What am I afraid of? And over the course of days of working with that, I was able to recognize through my journaling and through my writing and reflection deeply that I was afraid of being judged. And what did that mean beyond that? Well, it means that I'm unsure. I'm letting other people define for me who I am, that their reflection is more important or more valid than my own. In the course of recognizing that, I was able to heal it. I was able to say, you know what? I get to believe what I want to believe, and I get to hold my truth, and I don't need to apologize for it. I can show up in an authentic way and let other people have their judgments and let that be about them and not about me. They and their perception is none of my business. Dr. Wayne Dyer, maybe he wasn't a doctor, Wayne Dyer, who we all know, right? He said something once that stuck with me, and I carried it around in my heart and my mind, my soul for many, many years. And he said, you'll get to a point where what other people say or think about you, their perception of you, is none of your business. And even though I carried that around with me, it didn't actually make sense. I hadn't integrated it into me until this week. And that's why I could never show up to do something like this, because I had fear of other people's reflection being more accurate than my own. So I was validating it instead of letting my inner guidance come out. And that's one of the reasons why I call this Inner Goddess Guidance, why I decided to name the channel Inner Goddess Guidance. Because it's not about what I think or what anybody else thinks. It's about you getting in touch with the core of who you are. One of my other favorite people in the world, my whole life, and I was thinking about him the other night as I was thinking about the videos and how to put these together for you. And it occurred to me that one of the earth angels in my life was Mr. Rogers. As a little girl, I just would sit down and watch that man and be mesmerized by him. And it was because he gave a message of love. And you could feel it from him. Here I was, a little girl, just watching him. But when he said, I like you just the way you are, I believed him. And he made me believe in myself. It was a message of love and acceptance. And that is what this channel is about. I want to create a safe space of acceptance. And I want to help you go deeply so that you can find your inner light, remove any debris that is blocking it, and let it shine forth. So I'm going to suggest that you get a dedicated journal. I went out and I bought this one not too long ago when I was thinking about exactly what form the journaling should take for this. And I suggest that daily when you watch the videos, you keep track of what the second page, what the cards are that are pulled, that you take some notes as you're listening to the cards being read, what the meanings are for you, what the keywords are for you. And then I'll guide you in kind of how we turn those things into an affirmation for the day. And then at the end of the day, without me, on your own, you dedicate 10, 15 minutes to reviewing your day. And that you keep track of just what your thoughts were and what you noticed. Sometimes you may use this as a way of keeping tracks of signs and symbols. Maybe you saw something you didn't understand and you want to remember that and kind of work through what that imagery was. One example of that for me happened just yesterday. Just yesterday, I walked out on my deck, a beautiful day, and I looked down and there was a pigeon with just sitting there, and it had blood coming out of its wing. It had been injured. And this was a carrier pigeon. I knew that because it had a tag around its leg. And then I realized that these birds that I'd been watching fly around beautifully every evening were actually carrier pigeons, and that somebody near me has them and flies them and raises them. And I didn't really know what to do. Now this had some significance to me because pigeons are connected to my divine masculine. And I really sat there and thought for a minute, like, first of all, I have to take care of the pigeon. But second of all, I also need to think about, is this a message from the divine? And if so, what is the divine telling me? I haven't even worked through all of that yet. But by taking time to put it down in my journal, I know that I can come back and I can explore that until I find something that feels like the resonant truth. You may find that you use your journal as a place to keep track of a dream, for example, or something that you heard, something that you felt in your body. You're becoming aware of what your ascension symptoms are, and keeping track of that kind of thing. I also suggest that at the very end of the day, you use your journal as a place to write down at least one genuine feeling or sentiment of gratitude. One of my background, one of the things that I do is personal coaching. And I have studied a lot about the neuroscience behind healing trauma, healing sort of our brain connections, and the neuroscience behind stress. And I use information that comes from a man named Mark Robert Waldman, and he does neuro wisdom, and he's created a modality of coaching called neurocoaching that's very mindfulness based. And in the learning of that, there's a lot of strategies that you can use daily that are going to help you sort of get rid of negative thought patterns, and at least reduce them a lot, and then work toward healing some of those thought patterns that may have been with you for years. Gratitude, taking time to really reflect on your day and find something to be grateful for. You're giving your brain, as it goes to sleep, a last message of happiness, as opposed to going to sleep missing somebody or feeling loss or worrying about anything stressful or whatever. It's just better for you. And again, I come back to the simple truth is that we all want to feel better, right? We want to spend more time living in a happy, centered, resilient place than we do feeling like we're buffeted about by what's happening in our life. So again, your journal would be a place where you intentionally, daily, or weekly. Like, you don't have to do it daily if you don't have time, but I suggest that you make the time to do it because it's highly worth it. And the more you practice anything you do, the better you get at it, right? And so the more you learn to be mindful of this journey and of your own healing, the more you assume control of that, the more success you're going to have, the easier it's going to come. So I would suggest a daily practice, and my intention is to make a daily video to enable you to do that. Okay, I think I said everything I need to say. I hope so. So, not to go too in depth, but I wanted very quickly today show you what some of the components would look like. And so I suggest that right now, if you do not have a journal handy, that you can dedicate, go do that. Maybe you shop for that today, or you shop for that in the future, or maybe you have one around that you haven't really written in that you can dedicate to this. Anything's fine. But for now, just get a sheet of paper. And you can pause the video, just go get yourself a sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil. Okay? Okay, so you have your pencil and you have your piece of paper, and what I want you to do is just reflect right now. You can close your eyes for a minute. You can yawn and stretch. That's a really good hack to just get in touch with your body and come into the here and now. It doesn't have to be a deep meditation practice. It can just be a relaxation. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Becoming aware of how you're feeling right now in this moment. You might become aware of your body and where you're holding tension. You might become aware of the sensation of the temperature on your skin or your clothing. And I want you to tune in and ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being feeling very self-actualized, feeling very comfortable, feeling very happy and solid. That's 10. And 1 feeling desperate, feeling hopeless, feeling helpless. Where would you set yourself on that scale right now? Give yourself a number and don't judge it. Just let it be. Okay? Now, I want you to open your eyes and write down that number for me, because that's your start point. And right now I'm going to make an invocation to create a sacred space for us together. Whether you're watching this video as I'm doing it or not, taking the time to make an invocation to create a sacred space with the intention to heal is important. So I wrote this one. Dear Spirit of the universe, of love and light, please be with us in this time and place as we focus our collective intention on gaining wisdom and guidance for our journey toward healing and self-mastery. We ask for open hearts and minds to receive the messages that will serve our highest and best good in the service of love in all forms. With deep gratitude, thank you. Okay, so we're going to choose a goddess oracle card from the Goddess Oracle deck. Please give us guidance today of what energies, what goddess energies we are working with. Just one goddess card, please. Oh, this one. It would be a hard one to say. Coatlicue. Coatlicue. I think that's an Aztec goddess. Grief it says. Grief. You might take a moment just to think about anything that you have not processed through in terms of grief. It can be grief that you experienced way back in your life. And on that piece of paper in front of you, you might just jot a few things that come straight to mind for you. Grief. When you think of grief, what comes up? Coatlicue. Grief. With my head heavy with loss, with my eyes blinded by tears, I wander, unable to rest, unable to find ease. I am dry. My bones are dust in the desert sun. My heart ripped out lies broken on the ground. Each step I take in living tramples it anew. Each breath I take in living ruptures my wounds. How can I bear the unbearable? How can I survive the insurmountable? Will my sorrow never end? Will my loss ever be filled? Will my longing ever cease? You may feel that way right now. I know there were times when I was searching on the internet for information, and I was definitely in a place of feeling like my suffering would never end, and I was looking for relief. So right now, as a way of setting the intention, I want you to focus and put your attention on hearing a message from Coatlicue of how she can help you navigate through whatever grief you are still processing. What's her guidance and her message to you today? Mythology behind Coatlicue, or serpent skirt. She's the mother of Aztec deities. She gets her name because she wears a skirt made of swinging rattlesnakes. She is worshipped as an earth mother and life and death mother. She found some white plumed feathers one day and placing them on her breast became pregnant. When the other gods, her children, discovered her pregnancy, they swore to kill her to keep her new offspring from supplanting them. Only her beloved daughter, there's no way I can say this woman's name, Coatlicue, the moon goddess, warned her mother. I'm going to call her Coyo. Coyo was decapitated by the sun god, and grieving Coatlicue placed her daughter's luminous head in the sky. Interesting way to think about where the moon came from, right? Coatlicue is here to help bring you face to face with your grief. She is here to tell you that there is no way around grief. There is no place you can hide from grief. The way to wholeness lies in going through your grief. Have you ever been afraid to face the pain that accepting grief and going through the grief process will bring? Have you been hiding from grief, pretending you are really okay? Perhaps you fear the grief is so great that you will remain in it for the rest of your life. Have you done some of your grieving, but not all of it, so that it catches you unaware at odd moments? Perhaps you're staying in a situation you need to leave, but fear the grief that leaving would engender. It's imperative for your healing process that you grieve. It is time to wail and keen and moan. It is time to ask for support from friends and family. Life is about loss, and loss is a part of life. The seasons change, and it is all in a state of transition. Even grief, if fully faced, will finally lessen. In time, you will feel stronger and more alive. One day, your wounds will fade to scars. Remember that your process takes as long as it needs to take, and that everyone's time of grief is different. Coatlicue tells you to feel the grief so that your healing that can come. I think a lot of times we block grief. I think sometimes when we first go through a loss, we're so busy trying to stay afloat that we're afraid if we feel our feelings, we will drown. And I definitely know that for me, there have been times when I held on to situations because I feared the loss and the grief that I might feel if I let go. What you need to know is whether you're not healed fully from something you didn't allow yourself to fully feel, or whether you are denying yourself the opportunity to move on because you're afraid of grief you might feel. Either way, on your journey, you cannot move fully forward on your own path until that's dealt with. It's like walking with an anchor. It's holding you back. There are ways to help heal grief. If something you're going through is very sad, I will put my contact information in the information box so that you can contact me. I am a personal coach, and I can help guide you through, in a mindful way, processing your grief. So let's pull a healing card. That's some heavy energy. But here's the thing. We can't be afraid of that heavy energy, right? That only makes it worse. I would say, when it comes to grief, it's good to sort of allow yourself to be tender, to be a baby, to need help. It's even reminded me of that pigeon yesterday on my deck. It came to me and I worried about it. I thought, what am I going to do? I don't know how to help a pigeon. Who do I call? Do I call the wildlife people? Do I call a vet? Do I try to touch it? I didn't know. And then I got real calm and I took a breath and I realized that a good friend of mine's father is a vet and she happens to live near me. And I thought, I'll call Sonia. So I gave her a call. And I said, Sonia, I don't know what to do. There is a pigeon on my deck and its wing is bleeding. It's injured. And she said, I know just what to do. She said, it's a carrier pigeon? And I said, yes. She said, the guy that lives a few houses from me, those are his pigeons. I'll go get him and we'll be right over. And when he came, he picked up the pigeon and took a look at the wing. And he said, yes, this wing, this pigeon, there was a hawk today in the sky and he attacked the pigeons. And he said, don't worry, the pigeon will be fine and will heal. It's going to be okay. And I'm thinking about how that's kind of like grief, The hawk is just being a hawk. It just came and was attacking something that was flying, and the pigeon was just being a pigeon and didn't ask to be hurt. But the pigeon knew what to do. Somehow, the pigeon came to my deck, and I knew who to call. The pigeon didn't fall into bushes. And the message yesterday from the man was, it's going to be okay. The pigeon will heal. And so will we, from whatever grief we're currently feeling or have not allowed ourselves to feel. We will heal. You are resilient. We all are. That's a beautiful thing about us as human beings. Whatever struggles we go through, we are perseverant. We have this spirit that pushes us and pushes us so that we can overcome. So try not to be afraid of your grief. And if you need somebody to sit with to help you process it, reach out to somebody, a friend, a family member, a counselor, a personal coach. There's all kinds of people who will be loving and supportive of you as you process through your grief. Okay, now a message from the Carolyn Myss Wisdom for Healing cards. And let's see if we can get a wisdom for message, maybe for healing our grief. Please give us one message for how to heal our grief. Oh, there it is. Okay. It says, become better. Today's lesson, discover one thing that would make you better and more empowered at what you do and who you are, and make it part of your routine. If this is difficult, identify why becoming better is something you wouldn't want to do. Your goal to recognize how and why you sabotage your empowerment. Well, I'm going to suggest that one way to make yourself better is to try out these videos for a few days or weeks or whenever. Give them a shot. So in creating today an affirmation for the day for you to use going forward, you could, through your notes that you've taken in front of you from the messages of Coatlicue and Becoming Better, or anything that we've talked about, or any insights that you've had along the way, you can create your own affirmation. Remember that an affirmation is positive, right? And it's focused and intentional. And it's claiming something. The reason affirmations work is because we believe them. But even prior to believing them, there is a repetition about it. So as you go through the day, one of the things I do with affirmations is write them on Post-it notes. And I put them in my purse so that they're with me, or I put them oftentimes on my mirror so that when I'm in the bathroom and walking by the mirror, I see it, I say it. Don't make your affirmation so difficult that you can't remember it. It's best if it's short and sweet. So, when we combine this and this, we might say, today it is my intention to allow myself to become aware of my grief, because I know it's going to make me better. It's going to empower me. Okay? I allow myself to feel my grief, or I am not afraid of my grief. It is safe for me to process my grief. All of those would be excellent affirmations for your day. Okay, so I know that this was probably really long, and I'm not going to go back through and edit it because I'm not judging myself, and I hope you won't judge me either. I'd like to remind you that it's perfectly fine to leave comments, like, subscribe. Never said that before. And I want to suggest that in the comments, you be aware of being impeccable with your word. It is okay to ask questions. It is okay to question me or add to anything that I said. To say, you know, I've thought about it and I want to add in that I don't think you quite got that right, or I want to add this. But please don't be personal. And the same way, it should be a loving and safe space for anybody to feel like they can be vulnerable and let us know that they're struggling. And if you see somebody who's made that comment, and let us know that they're struggling to process grief or anything, be kind and send loving energy back. send a message of support and kindness. And sometimes the very best message you can give is, I know that you can get through this time, because I know that all of us can not only get through whatever struggles we have, but we can learn to really shine. And that's what I want this channel to be about. Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful and blessed day.